it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Bumping through your broadcast, grab a chair and fill your glass. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Bumping through your broadcast, grab a chair and fill your glass.
Hey, you are listening to WNB1 Radio, and this is the Really Charlie Podcast. I'm Charlie Perry, along with Michaela Brito, a U.S. Marine, definitely one of my veterans that I am trying to honor this month, on this great month of the calendar. And here at WNB1 Radio, what we're trying to do is honor veterans in different ways, and my friend here is now my veteran, and I was hoping to do it every single week, but what I'm going to do is honor you, highlight you, and all the special things that you do since a young age, since you were inspired to join the Marine Corps, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes.
Sure thing.
She is also a photographer, professional photographer with great work. Definitely, it's Mick Brito Photography. I'm going to put that up on the screen. And she's also a radio host. You want to talk about the radio host?
Sure. So I do a weekly live radio show on AM 1530 in Taunton. It's called Ask Your Veterans Agent. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing it for 6 years now.
Wow.
Because for about 6 years, I was a veteran service officer and I represented a couple different communities. I started out in Rainham and then in Fall River, and then I was in Somerset for a short time. And so our weekly show highlights different things about veterans, whether it be a veteran benefit or having a veterans nonprofit or having a veteran coming on talking about themselves. Matter of fact, just yesterday, I had Massachusetts Behavioral Health Helpline on, and the woman who is on, her name is Gail McAuliffe, and Gail is an Army veteran. And so I've known her for about 13 years now.
Very nice.
So she was on as my guest, and
I like that.
Being able to just put it out there and have this public service for our veterans. And even if it's not a veteran listening, you might know a veteran,
yes,
or your parent might be a veteran, or whomever, children, and being able to have that landline to it, lifeline to it is what it was all about. We thought that it would just be a really short-lived thing. It started out with 3 other veteran service officers and myself. We're like, oh, this will probably last like 6 months.
Yeah.
Yep. And here we are, 6 years.
Wow.
So, but I'm the primary host of it. And so I do that, and I try to have different people on weekly. Like I said, it's on at 11 a.m. on Mondays on AM 1530.
Very nice. You definitely have captured me. Every time you're on Facebook Live, I'm trying to listen. And even if I'm listening to the audio, if I'm driving or doing something, at least I can listen and actually get educated. Just like you said, I have veterans in my family, and I'm trying to pay attention because they may need something. Some just don't want to seek the services,
right?
But they don't want to do it alone.
And here, we're very lucky because here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, it's been mandated by Massachusetts General Law, Mass General Law, Chapter 115, and it dates back to 1862 to the Civil War. It's been mandated that there is a veteran service officer in every community within the Commonwealth. So we represent all 351 communities. So there's somebody, whether it's in a part-time or a full-time person, or if it's a district and they represent multiple communities, because like out in the Berkshires, you have like all these little tiny communities. So they might have a full-time agent who covers multiple communities, but it's someone who can help you navigate the system with our Massachusetts benefits and our state and federal benefits. And then of course, locally that we have different options within whatever community that you live in.
Awesome. It's it's very the resources in this state I think are tremendous, and it's always getting better. I remember um, right here in New Bedford they had was it the dog tag navigators, I believe it was. I can't remember, but Laura, friend Toby Richards, there was a few others, Fletcher. It's funny because we all know him as just his first name,
Right.
Fletcher. No last name.
No last names.
Yeah. So they were doing amazing things, and they're still doing. Some of them are still doing amazing things. My friend Toby passed away
Yeah.
during the pandemic, but what they did is they had kind of gave me an not inspiration, but a dedication to veterans only because of the hard work they were doing and some of the stories that they did tell me. My friend Jamie, he rest in peace, Jamie Dias. He had some amazing stories, and he was a Marine also, and it just captivated me. And I said, you know what? If I can do something, I will. And for the rest of my life, if I don't care if it's clothing, maybe transportation, something, anything, or the one thing that I always offer is an ear to listen. And so that's one thing that I like doing.
And a lot of times that's all a veteran needs
Hmm.
is somebody to listen to them.
True.
Um, and veterans are very humble
Hmm.
and very prideful,
Yes.
uh, and don't want to ask for the help
Hmm.
or think that somebody else deserves it more than them. And yet these benefits are here for you, especially our federal benefits.
Yes.
They're there.
Hmm.
Like it's not taking away from anybody else. Um, you apply for them. If you don't use it, who's gonna?
Yeah. Who's gonna?
So
Exactly.
that's one of the things that's really vitally important is to get that message out to any and all veterans and our surviving
Hmm.
um, family members. So you might have somebody who is a Gold Star family. A Gold Star family member is somebody who had their loved one who was killed in action,
Hmm.
making them a Gold Star family. They're entitled to certain benefits, both state and federal benefits.
Wow.
And as a disabled veteran here in the Commonwealth, you're also entitled to tax abatements.
Yes.
There's a state annuity for people who are 100% service connected from the VA. Also, our Gold Star families are entitled to that annuity. There's the disabled veteran license plate for those
Hmm.
who are at certain percentage of disability. There are so many benefits out there, and
Yes.
you were right. Massachusetts leads the way in the
Hmm.
nation for our veterans benefits. Like there are people who are so jealous
Yes.
of the stuff that is
Hmm.
offered here, who have gone out to. I've had people who have left here and moved to other states, and they're like, "How come I can't get this here?"
Hmm.
It's like, because you live in a crappy state now. No, I'm just kidding.
we we were very fortunate, and the what I was surprised is when I did travel across the country, a lot of military bases in different states, more in some states than others. Um, and I'm surprised that we didn't have more in the state. It's almost like they kind of disappeared a little bit. Um, but I happen to have a great experience to live outside Eglin Air Force Base
Yes.
in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, and the amazing thing is that I really got to kind of hang out with some military brats. I don't want to, but that's what we call them,
Right.
and
Yep.
they were amazing, and but as soon as you got used to a few of them, they
They
were
were gone.
off and gone, and until this day, I think back then I was what in the 10th, 11th grade. I haven't seen them since, and they were some amazing amazing teenagers that I met, and so, but I want to get to your to the Marine Corps, right?
Sure.
Your dad was in the service.
Yes.
Um, your brother was.
Yes.
You have a family made of military veterans, and very impressive. I uh, I want to ask you: was you more inspired by the people, the family before you, or did you just do it on your own?
That's a loaded question.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very convoluted, actually.
Yeah.
My dad, John Brito,
Mm-hmm.
founding member of the Verdian Vets Club right here in New Bedford.
Yes.
My dad designed the crest
Mm-hmm.
uh, for the organization.
Very impressive.
He was one of the original 13 charter members.
Mm.
So my dad taught me to be proud of my heritage,
Mm-hmm.
to be grateful that I'm Cape Verdean.
Mm-hmm.
And on my mom's side of the family, I'm English, Irish, and
Yes.
Scottish. So I need to be proud of my heritage. But dad was very involved civically.
Mm-hmm.
He was a city solicitor. He was a city auditor. He was a state auditor, very involved in politics. When I was a kid, obviously, I used to move a milk crate all around the pool table
Yep.
at the vets
Mm-hmm.
and shoot pool with the guys. And because I wasn't tall enough. And I always said that I was going to be a member. And I was always told, oh, you can be a member of the auxiliary. And I was like, no, I'm going to be a member.
Yes.
And that just stuck in my head that I was going to be a member. I didn't care how I was going to be, but
Mm-hmm.
I was going to be a member of the Verdian Vets. Fast forward, my mom passed away when I was 8. And so I knew that
Wow.
dad wouldn't be able to afford to send me to school, especially to the schools that I wanted to go to. So I sat and thought long and hard about it. And I was like, hey, there's this thing called the GI Bill,
Mm-hmm.
and the military will pay. I was like, let me look into this. So I went and I talked to all the branches of the service. The other branches were basically wanting to hand me things on a silver platter. Growing up,
Mm-hmm.
my father always told me, don't accept it if it's just handed to you. You have to earn it.
Yes.
And if you don't earn it, it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, all the other branches were like, oh, we'll give you this and we'll give you that. And I went in and I talked to the Marine Corps recruiter, who I am still good friends with to 36 years later.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I'm not guaranteeing you anything. You have to earn it. You have to, whatever your scores are on your ASVAB, that's how you're going to qualify. And so he laid it all out there. He's like, you're the first female that I'm putting in, so I can't tell you what a female is going to go through. And I was like, this is what I want to do. So after 2 hours of sitting there talking to him, I was like, this is it. I want to do this. So I went in, I took my ASVAB, and then they took me up to Boston to MEPS, and they sat there and they were like, you scored so high that you can have just about any job you want.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I was like, okay.
Impressive.
And so I decided, originally I was going to be a reservist so that they would pay. Yeah. I came home and I was like, Dad, I signed up for 6 years active duty. He goes, okay, break a leg. That was the whole extent of his conversation to me. And I was just like, oh, he's not even excited for me.
Mm-hmm.
But in that old man Cape Verdean way, he was very proud of me.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear it, but I heard it from everybody else of how proud he was. My brother and I didn't grow up together. There's a 13-year age gap. So I didn't really know my brother very well. But in the Marine Corps, we were stationed together for a little while out in California. So that was really cool to be able to be stationed with him. But yeah, just having that, knowing what my dad went through and what my uncles went through during World War II, and the fact that our freedom isn't free. It's earned by other people and the blood that they shed. that
So
if
true.
I didn't do it, then who would?
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I'm just like, let me keep going with what I was doing. And this is what I wanted to do. And 6 years later, well, almost 7 years later, I finally was medically retired due to some training exercise accident.
Hmm.
And I've just been whatever ever since.
I I like that story. I really do. Could understand that little shallow conversation that your or response that your dad gave you, because it was kind of normal, growing up. And let me see, but that's impressive, and I'm very proud of you.
It's funny because, like, still to this day, there's like people from the vets, obviously, who were quote unquote youngins to my dad at the vets,
Hmm.
who are now the old timers, or unfortunately, a lot of them have passed on. But they all laughed. They were like, "Tootsie,"
Hmm. Yeah.
Tootsie's like, "Yep, you
I,
proved us all wrong."
I just seen him. I
I
just
was like,
seen him.
I know I did, because I told you I was going to be a member. I wasn't going to be an auxiliary.
Hmm.
And that's one thing that if I can't do something straight out,
Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Elizabeth Vieira says veterans are all entitled to what is. Let me see. Read this. What is? Yeah, they invested. Veterans invested so much time and energy and commitment, dedication to first, to the country, to themselves, and so anything that you were entitled to, offered, I hope you get it, and 10 times over, only because I have seen so many different things over my lifetime, um, with the military service, good, bad, and ugly.
Yep.
Good where it put people in some great places, as far as stability, and so I'm so happy for that, and I usually encourage a lot of men and women to do that if they're not sure what they want to do. At least the military can be a start. And and then there are the different stories of some medical setbacks, and even loss of life. So, and I experienced that with a couple of my friends growing up. I um I just want to stick with this a little bit longer.
Sure.
The As you go through the process, now you're kind of gonna get away from military service full time, and so now you got to think about what you're gonna do. Um, was it always going to be that you were going to be glued into the military, always attached to it? And in this case, right now, you're an advocate, or been an advocate in many different places. Was that something that you would, once you left, you were going to decide that's what you were going to do, to stay attached to the military? Like, was it, did you want to separate at any point?
So now, well,
Okay.
so that's loaded,
Yeah.
because being in the military is a job you love to hate,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because you loved being it, but you hate it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I would not change it for the world. If I could have, I would have done 20, 30 years, however long they would have let me. But due to my injury,
Yes.
I was medically retired. Uh, but no, it was amazing. And some of my closest friends are people that I've made while I was on active duty.
Mm-hmm.
And I've made, obviously, being in the Marine Corps League and the Women Marines Association and the American Legion and all these other veterans organizations, I've become more involved. And so I still know all these people who are still on active duty today. I was grateful that I worked for Raytheon for a little while.
Yes.
And while I was working with Raytheon, I became a mentor to a group of active duty women Marines who were out in Camp Pendleton, and they actually flew me out there, and I was their keynote speaker for Women Veterans Day 1 year. And it was so cool to be able to have these young women looking up to me and saying how they were so grateful for the stuff that I'm like, girls, you were doing stuff that I could never do while I was on active duty. And I realize now, the more I talk to other people, is Deborah Sampson is the woman who set that footpath during the Revolutionary War for women.
Yes.
She disguised herself and fought as a man, was wounded. She is the first female to get her veterans pension. So she had to fight tooth and nail for it. But if it weren't for her having that little footpath and trudging it and making that pathway for us, it would not be a super highway right now for women to do any and every job that they want to do.
Sure.
As long as they're qualified for it and that they can do it, it's there. And I'm so grateful for all of those people who came before me and who have come after me and have busted through those glass ceilings, because it gives me such great pride watching these women who are coming up behind me doing the things that they've done.
Yes.
And I'm just like, wow. I was like, would I have been able to do that? And I'm pretty sure I could have if I was given the opportunity. But at the same time, because of that, like, time and space thing, that I wasn't afforded that opportunity, but it would have been something that I wanted to do.
Yeah, I can feel that. I can feel that in you as determination. I could feel that excitement coming from you. So I definitely know that you would have been more than.
And to finish a little bit more on that answer, I think my dad instilling like my whole civic duty of like serving our country, serving our community. I think that that's where it all started from a very, very young age. So I've always had that civic mind. I mean, shoot, I volunteered to work on Congressman Joe Moakley's campaign back in 1980 when they first redistricted to the 4th Congressional District through Taunton, and served with him all through high school.
Wow.
And then joined the Marine Corps. And now Fred Clark, who is the president of Bridgewater State University, Fred was legislative liaison for Joe Moakley back in 1980. And so I have this connection with him that dates all the way back to then. So it's great because being able to have that networking and taking bits and pieces of my past and having it right here in my present and going into my future has been amazing. And I'm so grateful that I'm able to set that example for my daughters and for my grandchildren. So that's just been amazing.
I love it. But I always, people notice that the one thing I ask a lot of people is, are you interested in writing a book about your story? Is that possible that would you do that?
Good question. Sorry for the awkward pause there for a second. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I loved my time in the service. I loved what I've been able to do. I think my photography speaks more so for me than words. So I love what I'm able to do with my photography and being able to capture people's stories and being that documentarian style and doing that than anything else. I don't know. I've never thought about an actual book about me.
Just a routine question I like to ask. So now that we're going to transition over to the photography, professional photographer. doing amazing work. Seen a lot of your pictures. Um, I also want to let me wait before we get into that. Let
Okay.
me. I don't want to ignore our great audience here. You know,
I know. I
this is
just looked
great.
up and I was like, wow.
Yeah,
I was like, I know one of those people who wrote
that's
something.
it. Let's see. Let's put this one up. Get Ray Oliveira giving a thumbs up. Appreciate that. You know, trying to get the comment up. Let's see. Um, Miss Rodriguez, one of our good friends at WNB1 Radio. Michaela, salute to you and thank you for your service. You are a true role model for all women who want to be empowered. What advice would you give the youth on wanting to go into the service? Good question.
Hmm. That is a good question.
Hmm.
So obviously the military right now is a totally different ball of wax from when I joined.
Yep.
But if it's something that you're truly passionate about and want to be able to continue to serve, I'm going to tell everybody the exact same thing. Do all your research,
Hmm.
talk to all the branches of the service. Every last one of them has something unique to offer.
Yes.
Find out what it is
Hmm.
and don't be like starstruck and
Hmm.
don't be like, oh, well, this is what's going to happen,
Yeah.
because it's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
But no, just being there and being supportive of one another is one of the most amazing things to do. One of my grandchildren asked me one day, what would I do if she joined? And I
Hmm.
would be like, I'd be your cheerleader. I
Yeah.
would sit here and I would
Hmm.
cheer you on and keep going and be in your corner, rooting you on the whole entire way, because, this is your decision. You
Yes.
have to make it. It's something I feel, if it was my choice, I
Mhm.
think every single person, male, female, whatever you choose to identify as,
Yes.
needs to serve.
I agree.
And I say that because people take for granted the freedoms and the rights that we have. We don't have these rights and freedoms unless from 250 years ago,
Hmm.
from the American Revolution.
Yes.
You know, if it weren't for that and the blood that was shed and them standing there and fighting for our freedoms, then we wouldn't be able to do the things that we do today.
Absolutely.
Yes, our Constitution was kind of written crazy, but they didn't foresee some of the stuff that's going on, especially with technology today.
Yes.
But it's amazing to be able to do it and talk to them,
Good.
talk to all the branches and see what they have to offer. Like I said, if you're a reservist, you're a National Guardsman, you're active duty, you can still go to college.
Hmm.
You're still doing your job
Yes.
in the service, and that's all that matters.
Hmm.
And being able to be there and be supportive of one another and continue to support. I'm not gonna lie, some of it sucks,
Yes.
but
Hey,
that's how it is in any job. It's a
nothing.
job.
Yeah. Everything's life is not smooth sailing, and along the coastline, sitting at the beach, there's different things that happen in life that are good, bad, and ugly. And then in the military service is the same thing. Um, we have Lynn Clements who says, always wonderful to see Michaela representing our amazing women veterans. Thank you for this. Yes, and I want to thank you also because it's good. These comments are amazing. I like when people get involved in the podcast, and especially when they acknowledge in the guests like you
Thank
and
you.
say great things. Like Dolores Gar says, great job. We have Erin here who says she's an amazing woman, which we all believe. And let's see. This is Letitia Graves, right?
Yep.
and she says, "Hey, Peanuts, talking to the really Charlie Peanut. That's my girl." I love it. I love it.
So, Lynn,
Yep.
her husband is a disabled veteran also.
Oh, okay.
And they have a service dog from the same organization
Nice.
that I do, and they live out in Pittsfield, well, Dalton, Mass,
Mhm.
out on the New York border.
Okay.
And they've been amazing people to me, very, very supportive ever since Rabbit and I have been matched.
Wow.
But likewise, I've also been very supportive of them, helping them figure out different veterans benefits or letting them know about different things that they're entitled to.
Takes a community.
Erin is actually her father and my dad were friends
Wow.
before we were born. So Erin and I have been friends since birth.
All right.
And Tisha is actually a former roommate of mine while we were on active duty. And
Okay.
so
I love it.
just to let you guys know, Peanut is my nickname because
Mhm.
obviously my last name is Brito. And
Yep.
one of my drill instructors used to call me Private Brittle.
Mhm.
And one day I wasn't paying attention and she was yelling and screaming at me. And she was like, "Brittle, do you not know your name?" I was like, "Excuse ma'am, this private's name is Brito." And she's like, "Not anymore. It's Brittle." And I was like, "No, ma'am, it's Brito," and spelt it out. And she goes, "Nope, it's Peanut Brittle because I said so."
Wow.
So then it became, so then she started calling me Private Peanut,
Yep.
which in boot camp, you get stuck with a name.
Yep.
And then so here I am 36 years later with the nickname of Peanut.
And it
It
sticks.
sticks.
Yeah.
Like it's like all those Cape Verdean nicknames that you have, and you're like, how did that nickname makes like Tootsie? How did Tootsie get the nickname Tootsie? Because his name is Irvin.
Yeah, Irvin.
So how do you get Tootsie out of Irvin? So yeah.
Yeah, we call my brother Leaky. I don't know how that happened, but
right.
It just it sticks. Actually, let's go to one of your other nicknames, Mickey.
Okay.
Where does that come from?
So I don't. That's my Aunt Grace, my mother's sister, said that was going to be my nickname.
Yeah.
So this is like from birth. And my mother was okay, sort of, kind of with it. My father, not so much. So Dad said, "You have a name, use it." Granted, I didn't know better because I was barely born.
Yeah.
So, but if friends of mine called the house and asked for Mickey, my dad would say, "Nobody by that name lives here," and would hang up the phone.
Yeah.
And then they would turn around and call back and be like, "Hi, Mr. Brito, is Michaela there?" And then he'd be like, "Yep."
Okay.
So, but Mickey has been, again, a nickname since I was knee high to a grasshopper.
Yeah, Dad stood his ground. He said, "I named my princess what I named her, and that's what she's gonna have."
And I was named after my grandmother, so it was my father's mother. So
family honor. Yeah.
So it's a family thing. And if I had been a boy, I would have been John Robert.
See that?
So
nice. The it's amazing. These stories. Thank you for all this. This is what the Really Charlie podcast is about, to highlight people, and bring these stories out to inspire people through some of the things that you're saying and telling. It's very, very important that we do that, even if it's not on a podcast, even if it's in normal conversation.
Right.
And you happen to do it on a daily basis. Being a radio host and doing the things you do there. I want to say thank you. Thank you for doing that. Because it's very, very needed, as we talked about all the different things that veterans go through. So thanks again.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Let's talk about your photography.
Sure.
And but I want you to share a story that you shared about yourself and Kristen, our cousin, and because that story was amazing. I don't want to blurt out anything, but I want you to talk about, the singer and photographer story.
Sure. So Kristen Perry, our cousin, passed away this year on her birthday, on her 49th birthday. Amazing young woman. Her dad was Leo Perry, who's a guitar player. Well, growing up, Kristen always sang, tried to play music. She's self-taught, but obviously, we grew up together, and she was always the girly girl, and I was the tomboy, and I was like, no. Whenever she'd want to have like a fashion show or whatever, so I used to always be like, I'll take pictures, and I'm 5 years older than her, so to me at times so her nickname was Punk, Punkin, Punky, Punkster, whatever somebody felt like calling her, that's what it was. So Punky used to drive me crazy, and I'd be like, I'll be the photographer, just because then that meant that I didn't have to do the whole dress up stuff.
Yeah.
So years and years go by. Obviously, I come home. I'm an adult. She's an adult, and she's doing her music. And I kept telling her, because I started doing photography while I was in the Marine Corps, just kind of like spur of the moment type thing. A friend of mine was actually public affairs for the Marine Corps. And so he was a photographer, a combat camera. And so I was like, oh my God. And he taught me. And so I went into the dark room with him. I processed film, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And so I was like, Punk, let me do your photos. And she's like, yeah, whatever. And like, she kept like blowing me off. Well, one year she comes home and she sings for Lights On for the city of Taunton. Taunton is the Christmas city. And I happened to be photographing that night for the Taunton Daily Gazette. So I take all these amazing photos of her, and then I get them published in the Gazette, and they're online and whatnot. So I turn around and I send all these photos to Punky, and she's like, oh my God, these pictures are great. She's like, how'd they get all these? Like, where'd they come from? I go, look at the byline. And she's like, what? I was like, look at the byline. And she's like, oh my God, you took those pictures? I was like, yep. She's like, oh my God, so you're like a real photographer? I go, oh my God, so you're like a real singer? So when are you going to let me do some photos of you? And she's like, okay, deal. So she actually did an album called Entering Taunton. So it had everything to do with her mom and obviously her upbringing in Taunton, and about addiction. And so I photographed her all around the city of Taunton. But it was pretty amazing because she thought that I was just trying to take photos to like make a name for myself. And then I was like, yeah, no, I just want to do your photos because I really think that I would be able to capture you the way that you're looking to be captured for this. And again, at first she was like kind of skeptical about it. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh my God, these are like my favorite pictures. I was just like, yeah. I was like, so I'm a real photographer. So does that make you a real singer?
Yeah. And she definitely was a real singer, and you are an amazing photographer.
Thank you.
Please, everyone, look up Mick Brittle Photography, and give her some business. You know, I know I'm going to do all I can to get you tied into WNB1 Radio, so you can bring your amazing gift to our studios or our events. So, but we'll keep in touch on that one.
Most definitely.
I had one of the amazing flights that I've ever had in my lifetime, and the pilot was your brother, and
it was an amazing flight.
Smooth,
No, just kidding.
it was a smooth sailing and very nice. Actually, when he came out of the cabin area and was talking to us, it was kind of a proud moment, It's a proud moment to see someone that I, you know, grew up seeing in the neighborhood and in the Cape Verdean parades year after year, um, and very, very well. He was always professional, constant professional. Always
Are we
looked
talking about
well.
my brother? No. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah. I would do the same thing. So, and the one thing is that when he put that uniform on, it was okay. No games,
No games.
no games, nothing but I'm representing everything that I have displayed on me, and it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Represent my country, my family, and myself. And he did that well. And I just want to say that he did it well, and you did everything that you're doing in your life well. And I really want to say, 5 stars to you and your family.
Thank you. Yeah. My brother, pretty amazing guy,
Hmm.
Marine F-18 pilot, served for 20 years on active duty,
Wow.
retired, came back home here to New Bedford area. Well, to New Bedford, actually, Dartmouth.
Hmm.
And his kids grew up here. He still lives here in New Bedford. Second generation Cape Verdean veterans
Hmm.
and he is the commander
Yes.
over at the post right now, which is amazing to me
Hmm.
because it continues to honor the legacy of our
Yes.
dad. Um, and yes, I joke about my brother. I love him to death, and I don't know what I would do
Hmm.
without him. He has taught me so much about myself and about just being that support system.
Hmm.
Um, he's very humble, um, very, very, very smart, lacks common sense. No, I'm just kidding. But, just having him there and knowing that I can depend on him and he can depend on me has been fabulous. His new wife, Lucy, is amazing, very involved with the Cape Verdean community. My brother and Lucy helped to get the first Cape Verdean Cape Verdean American Veterans Monument
Mhm.
established, and it's down in Exeter, Rhode Island,
Very
at the
nice.
Veteran Cemetery down there. It was actually awarded a Cape Verdean Presidential Medallion
Mm.
of Liberty. Cape Verdean president and the prime minister has been there several times. We just celebrated the 5th anniversary, adding more names to it. And this is a labor of love for both of them.
Mm.
And it's amazing because it lays it out row by row.
Hmm.
It has your name on it, what island you're from, what branch of service, when you served. So it's great to be able to say that it's got
Yeah.
our 2 generations of
Mhm.
our dad and me, and of course him on
Yep.
there. But this year for their 5th anniversary, they honored women veterans.
Wow.
And so it was all about myself and 5 other women veterans. And that means so much because to know that we have these amazing Cape Verdean women
Hmm.
who are represented on this monument, and that being able to share that spotlight with them
Yes.
is amazing. And if I can continue to do that, if I can continue to uphold and uplift and shine a spotlight on other women and what they've done, that's all that matters,
Yes.
because we should
I
be
like
here
that.
helping one another, not hurting one another.
Yes. It's
And
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh no,
Continue.
it's just one of those amazing things that being able to, no matter where I am, no matter where he is, my brother and I have been very, very supportive of each other. Like I said, we're stationed together for a year and a half out in California,
That must be nice.
and
Must be a great picture.
it was
Yeah.
phenomenal. And yet knowing that I have him in my corner and that I'm in his corner has helped out so much.
Mm.
And to know that they're continuing to have this legacy, and that now this monument is the first of its kind.
Yeah.
And to know that they were part of it means it's everything.
It leaves an amazing legacy for a lot of reasons, whether it's tied into your family, whether it's tied into our heritage, our culture. It hits all kinds of branches, and it's very, very important because of the many young individuals that are coming after you. And so I appreciate it. I didn't, when the ceremony first came, like you said years ago, I wanted to attend and, believe it or not, to take some pictures, because I said that those were going to be iconic. Those are going to be um, displayed in history for a long time to come. So I wanted to capture that with my camera. I do like photography, and so I'm glad that they did it. And I got to definitely go on a road trip so I can go there and see see it and sit and enjoy it, because I have many, many generations that served in the United States militaries, and so it's definitely something I need to go see.
And it's so beautiful. If you've never been
Mm-hmm.
to the Veterans Cemetery in Rhode Island, it's beautiful. It's the Rhode Island State Veterans Cemetery in Exeter, Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
And it sits there when you come in. You're going to go past the administration building and you're going to go down, and the very first road that you're going to turn to the right, it's right there.
Wow.
And they just established a Portuguese monument, Portuguese Veterans Monument, and it's right near a Marine Corps monument. So like,
that's very nice.
It's all tied in. It's really beautiful. It's right near some trees also. So it sets it apart. And it was funny because Lucy went down there and they like scoped out the area, and they were like, this is where we want it. And so they grabbed that piece of that prime property.
That's nice.
And there it is. And I've had several friends who've said that they've gone down there to look at it, and that it's beautiful. And you have to read the history of it, as to how it's set up, and what the whole monument means. There's a triangle with a circle of stars. Those circle of stars represents all the islands.
Very
of the
nice.
Bird. And the granite, you'll have to get that story from my brother.
I will. He's got a busy schedule, but we happen to see each other every now and then, so I'll definitely talk to him about it. Let's try to I'm gonna see 6:48. All right, I gotta ask you this question. Put you on the hot seat.
Okay.
All right. My question on the Really Charlie podcast is, who would you like to see on the Really Charlie podcast?
Who would I would like to see my brother.
Oh, okay.
I really would.
I'll make that happen.
Because my brother has so much to share and offer. Again, about his military service, about what he's continuing to do, about continuing the legacy of the Verdian vets here.
Yeah.
The fact that he's so proud of our heritage and our legacy and leaving it a better place.
Yes.
And he's got some amazing children. They're wildly independent and savage, and I don't think, if I could pick my brother, I would still pick him as my brother.
Yeah, why not?
As much as I'm like,
yeah. Yeah, it's something about siblings that keep you it's just like with my siblings, I just wouldn't trade them for anything in the world, and I don't care what you offer me. You can offer me anybody in the Bible, and I still keep my siblings. Yeah.
Another person that I would love to have on, but I'm not sure due to his time constraints, would be um, Secretary of Veteran Services,
Mm-hmm.
um, John Santiago, or Andrea Gail Bennett. She is the first female deputy secretary. So there, this year it's a cabinet position. It
Mm-hmm.
just got elevated to cabinet position.
Yeah.
So they're their own cabinet now. They're their own secretary. And so it's now the Executive Office of Veteran Services for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Andrea is a retired brigadier general,
Mm-hmm.
and she is a former surgeon general for the National Guard. Uh, Secretary Santiago is, I believe he's a major in the reserves,
Okay.
and he's an emergency room doctor.
Hmm.
So this
Amazing.
man has seen some stuff. And so these two people are continuing to serve and have served. So they are like two people that really need to be showcased
Mm-hmm.
and have their stories told. Um, you do have a female Air Force veteran down here who is also being displayed at the State House
Mm-hmm.
with the many faces of veterans for the Commonwealth, and her name is Reverend Dr. Sandra Whitley.
Mm. Love
Reverend
it.
Sandra lives here,
Yep.
and she just recently moved down here. She would be another phenomenal person for you to have on.
I promise you, I'm going to reach out to every single one of them, give the invitation, and see what happens. Even if it's even if it's something that they may not want to do, but and maybe I can just have a quick conversation with them, and or have them direct me to someone else. I like to. Well, if you don't want to share your story, can you offer me someone else? Because it's like you said earlier, no one wants to veterans are kind of, I want to be strong. Don't praise me. I don't want to pat myself on the back. Do it for the next person. And but I promise you that I will do that. And but I'm gonna start with your brother first because I know everything that you said is so true, and that will be an amazing story and something that could uplift this area because of who he is, where he's from, and he's iconic in the parade. So it'd be nice to put him on this screen because he's doing a lot of things behind the scene. I
Right.
like to bring that up. You know. All right. My friend, we running out of time here, but I actually truly like this. I am going to take everything that we have here and I'm going to put it on Spotify, uh, add it to my LinkedIn page. It's already on YouTube. So if anybody wants to go to YouTube, go to the Really Charlie channel, Really Charlie podcast on WNB1 radio. But if you just put Really Charlie in it, it will definitely pop up. I did say Spotify. And I'm trying to do a few other things with Apple Podcast and all that. So, but WMB1 is located in New Bedford, 262 Union Street, New Bedford, Mass, right at Union and 7th Street. This is our new home, and I'm very proud of it. And the station has been very, very good to me um, with my podcast, where I'm able to bring great people like you in there. So
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for
Thank-
having me come on, to be able to tell my story, to
Mhm.
talk about my passion of
Mhm.
veterans and photography and about my heritage,
Yes.
because if we don't continue to tell our stories, then who will?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not able to do this, what's going to happen to it?
Yeah.
And as long as you continue to say that person's name, it'll live on.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as there's somebody else out there who's going to say my name
Yes.
in the future, that's all that matters. So same thing that Marvin said, WWKD,
Mm-hmm.
what would Kristen do?
Yes.
So I think about that all the time. And I drive by there
Mm-hmm.
every day that I go to campus. I drive by, and I used to do it before. I would go visit, and I would FaceTime with her so that we could
Mm-hmm.
visit with
Yes.
Auntie and Unc. And now I continue to do it. We take pictures and then I send them out there to Marvin. But just being able to have the platforms that you and
Mhm.
I do have, and being able to share the stories or share benefits or beliefs with other people to
Mhm.
let them know that that's what's going on,
True.
then that's what needs to be done. And I'm grateful that we were able to share this on Facebook and be able to have my friends and other
Mhm.
people. Again, like I told you before, I don't do this to hear myself. I do it so that people can hear what we can do for other people.
Yeah. And I know that's your intention. A genuine person, and I like that. Um, we have a couple of comments here. Let's see. The first one we read, but Tisha says, first time listener, and this is an amazing show. You've got the whoops. Let me get out of here. Let me bring this up for you. First time listener, and this is an amazing show you've got here. I appreciate that comment. It means so much to me. Thanks for inviting Mick on the show. I am very happy and honored to have her here. Definitely want to do this more. Once again, maybe once, twice, three times. I don't care. You ever want to come on this podcast at this station, let me know, and we can definitely do it. I know you're busy doing your own show. It may be a situation or an issue that you want to talk about. Just let me know because with technology, you don't have to leave home. I
Right.
send you a link. You could be at home. We can talk, have a conversation. Um, and if you want to bring someone on the podcast with you, we can do that too. So um, you have an open door when it comes to me and the podcast. So whatever you want to do, let me know.
I truly appreciate that. And again, just being able to bring that awareness
Mm-hmm.
of um, veterans and what we can do as individuals to help other veterans, whether it's just to sit there and listen or sit in silence with somebody.
Yeah,
Please, right now during the holidays, this is like really tough time for lots of people,
I agree.
and especially with the dark weather.
Mm-hmm.
Reach out and contact people, make
Mm-hmm.
sure that they're okay, even if you're not sure what to say or do.
Yeah.
Just be there, be that open ear.
It could
and,
be a
and
high
help.
and a high and goodbye could mean a lot to someone. If you say that, like, all right, I'm busy, can't talk, I don't feel good. All right, I just want to let you know that I'm thinking of you. Goes a long, long way. Um, I want to the what's your next intention? Let me ask that before. What's your next goal? What are you trying to do as a?
My next goal is to graduate,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually want to get my master's degree.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to be applying for graduate school, hopefully staying there at Bridgewater State, and just maybe doing some traveling with my photography,
Mm-hmm.
and just getting out there. But yeah, I just really want to be able to promote my fellow Cape Verdeans,
Mm-hmm.
because that's vitally important.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very important. We Here at WNB1 Radio, we are going to be honoring some veterans with our first Friday comedy show, which is going to be at the Wheeling um, Inn and Suites at 500 Hathaway Road in New Bedford, Mass. We have rented the venue, which is probably going to be our new home for a while, right here in New Bedford, and all veterans could come into the comedy show. There's going to be a headliner along with three other comedians from Timmy Hall, who's a Baltimore police officer. He'll be the headliner. Miss McRae. We have Mr. Kuze from Providence and Malik Washington. They will be there, be our comedians for that night. And that's November 17th. Feel free to look on the website, WNB1, spell out the word one.com, and you can place your order for tickets right on the website and pay for it electronically. So, but all the veterans get in for $15. Anyone else, it's $25, and at the door, it's $30. So we're giving that discount. But if you know a veteran that's having problems, and they want to go, we'll definitely make sure that we get them a ticket so they can come.
Well, thank you very much, and happy Veterans Day to all those veterans for listening in. And let's remember that every day is Veterans Day and Memorial Day for us.
Exactly. Man, took the words right out of my mouth. All right, we're going to end this podcast with my favorite song. The video was designed by Peter Lionel Walker, and I'm here every Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. on WNB1 Radio. This is the Really Charlie podcast, and I'm Charlie Perry, along with my fine guest, and you all have a good night. And I'll see you next week. Take care.
It's the Really Charlie podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie podcast. Bumping through your broadcast. Grab a chair, fill your glass. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie podcast. Bumping through your broadcast. Grab a chair, fill your glass.